Welcome back to Valorant Game Changers NA Stage 2 presented by Verizon. We're just through map number 1 of our lower round 3 here, and Complexity, well, got very close at the end, convert their huge lead in the first half to find themselves up a map in the series. I'm Mimi back again with Bach and Sapphire, and to jump right into this one, Bach, it looked so good for Complexity. I mean, that first half was unbelievable. The series definitely got a little closer than they would have wanted.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this scoreline and you're probably thinking, close, what is Mimi talking about that it was way in their favor? It was a 10-2 half coming into the second half.
9 rounds in a row to start.
They looked absolutely incredible. Complexity clearly had control of the game, and Shopify couldn't figure a single thing out in that first half. Then they switched over and they started to get the wheels moving. The problem was the damage was already dealt. They didn't really have much room for mistakes. Any errors were going to be punished, and that's exactly what Complexity did. They punished, and they ended up closing out the game. It was the classic fake comeback. I think if you, it's a tale as old as time. If you found an early cave drawing, it would have that timeline etched on the cave where it shows the team getting to like 10 rounds before finally the other team gets 13. But Shopify Rebellion didn't let themselves fall out of the game. They fought as hard as they could. It's just, again, they just were too far behind at that point. How do you come back from that a mountain of rounds that you've given up to your opponent coming into that second half? It's just really difficult to recover.
Yeah, hopefully it's a little copium going into the second map. We saw some really nice plays from Lori there. I thought Sabuti played well. They had that really nice 2v4 clutch, and that's giving them a little hope for the second map. But like you said, they were just so far behind, and that's because the teamwork from Complexity was just fantastic on that first half.
Yeah, and I think some of the early rounds where they did get that huge streak going were an example of how good that teamwork was. I mean, on that defensive side, their Viper composition, or excuse me, on that first half, their Viper composition was really well implemented. And Heather, you wanted to look at this 5th round in particular.
Yeah, I really like this here. You know, as we said, like Jazzy has taken over this IGL role, and she's really utilizing her flash players, utilizing that Omen to get her into the site, making those plays. This was a round where actually Raze got caught out as she was dropping the ult, and they still managed to take that site, and that's a lot in part thanks to, again, the skies, those Omens opening up space for the Jet there.
And we had talked about it coming into the game, how important this series was to one player specifically, to Lace, who's been on this team since its very early inception, before it was even Complexity, and she steps up big. She ends up top performing for the team as the Omen. The double controller setup clearly worked out quite nicely. And you can also understand why maybe this map doesn't get played a whole lot for Shopify Rebellion. It has been a map they've been banning out. They just seemed a little bit lopsided. If you had seen this game start with them on the other side, maybe the scoreline is actually a little bit different as they can build some confidence, maybe get a little bit of a lead, 7-5 half or something like that. But again, just being down that many rounds just does not give you much wiggle room. And it was just a matter of time before Complexity was able to get enough to just putt it across the finish line.
Yeah, and that's going to be sorry, Heather, that's going to be a really confident win too, especially for this player who we've been talking about as coming in as that new IGL and Jazzy, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. And we have to remember that Jazzy has played against Shopify more than nearly any player in Game Changers aside from Mel and Alexis. So she's very familiar with this team, and now she can take what she's learned over all those years and all those grand finals against them and apply it to her younger teammates.
Absolutely, she has in this one. And now as we look towards the rest of the series for Complexity, I think you have to turn your attention to that other side for Shopify. Was that second half, was that recovery just a flash in the pan, or will COL be able to continue to show the consistency as we move forward? Map number 2 is going to be Fracture, which is one that in the past has been a pretty strong map for Shopify Rebellion, Buck.
Yeah, it absolutely has. But at the same point in time, we've seen a good bit of it from Complexity, and it hasn't been a weak map. It's not to say it's great. It's just sort of, it's an okay map. If you look back to the last Game Changers event, they had a victory over the Moist Moguls team. They did lose to CLG Red, but they had some wins during the qualifier stages. Again, sample size is maybe a little bit smaller. We've seen quite a bit more play, and not even just in the region, also internationally. My concern is that we do see a composition that is really boom or bust. Shopify Rebellion likes to run a Neon, and one of the things I've noticed with Neon teams is either it works really well or it doesn't work at all. A lot of times you see players slot into the Neon and it just falls flat on its face. It's not to say they're definitely going to continue running it. They've only played it once here in Series 2. It was in the earlier rounds of the qualifiers against Valaris. It was a 13-8 win for them. There's a possibility that they don't run that comp again just because they have run it for quite a bit of time, and you do start to see teams swap it out after, months, 2 months, 3 months. They'll start to workshop some other ideas, some other strategies. But it is a map that does work out nicely for Shopify. It's just not, it doesn't look like it's their best map if you're just looking at recent history. It's a good map, but it's not like incredibly amazing.
Yeah, and neither of these teams, I guess you could say, have been really tested on the map either. Again, like a lot of the teams they're playing against are in the open, the closed qualifiers, teams that they're generally just better against because they have so much more experience. I am interested, like once we get into the agent select, like is Sonder even going to be on that Neon anymore? Because again, we see her fading away from the duelist role.
Yeah, and that's a big question there because as we saw on Haven, it was actually Lori playing Jet. I feel like we haven't seen that role swap. Lori was the original Jet player for this team, but ever since Sonder joined, it's never really reversed that way. So I think we are continuing to see a Shopify Rebellion that in kind of struggling more than they used to are trying to reinvent themselves and find that new direction. And also, Bach, it kind of comes to this question of how is the mental going to work out to Shopify for me? Because previously we always talked about Benita as the player who is so good at being that veteran, at helping this team to come back.
Yeah, not having that presence certainly can be difficult. You don't have that person who can calm everyone down and be like, listen, we've done this before, or at least I've done this before. In Benita's example, you could pretty much pick any scenario that's ever existed in TAC FPS, and Benita could be like, yeah, that's happened to me. So let's build. How do we reset into map 2? Not having that can be a bit problematic. And it's not to say they don't have any veterans or any leadership on the team, but it certainly hurts when you lose a piece that is that integral to your team's composition. I do wonder how they're going to reset, because it's not just today's match. It's the weight of the position that they're in this early in the tournament, being in the lower bracket, not in a lower bracket final, just in a lower bracket elimination match. The fact that this is a rematch and they're down a map, this is all playing in their heads right now, and they could really benefit from someone like that who can calm them down and say, hey, map by map. It's basically just a best of one. Let's just move forward. It's a best of one, and there's another one after.
Yep, and I think that's where they have to look to their leaders, like KP. KP said it yesterday, like when they were down against Complexity the first series to start the event, they didn't kick themselves. They were okay with that. They brushed it off, and then they also have a veteran coach. You could arguably probably the most experienced coach in all of Game Changers, and Rob Wiz, and too. That's what you look for your coaches to kind of reset your mental during this time.
Well, that's going to be the guy who has to do it. But we're already into the agent select. And again, Bach, it's Sonder off the duelist. It's actually a no duelist comp here for Shopify.
This is interesting. So they run a duelist list composition, and they opt for triple initiator with a controller and a sentinel. I kind of like it. I'll say this. I'm not a huge fan of Neon on this map, only because I've seen it flop more than I've seen it succeed. It's not to say that it can't work. It just feels like I haven't seen a team really put it into play here in Game Changers where I'm like, whoa, that's it. That's the play. So I do like the fact that Shopify is kind of rolling the dice here and changing things up a little bit. This is creative. I enjoy this.
Yeah, and then, on the side of Complexity, I think this is what they've been running before. It's their comfort picks. They're not trying to mix things up, and they want to just stick with what they know.
That they do. Complexity, though, as well, going back to something a little bit more standard here with just that double initiator composition. Shopify, though, it's going to be interesting to see how this composition works out into this one. I think we can still look to the core of this team, because I feel like for Shopify, when they're in these positions, well, there have been moments where it's Sonder to step up. I feel like you have to look to that supportive line. Flowerful, for me in particular, is a player who, when Shopify has been in these lower bracket positions before, has really found those big moments. GC Champs was a great example of that one, Bach.
I'm also a big fan of Cypher on this map. I think that Cypher has maybe a little bit more versatility just with flank prevention. If you're watching like a Killjoy on this map, KJ flank prevention-wise, maybe not as viable simply because of how far apart everything is. So if you try to set stuff up, you're not always close enough to it for it to actually hold the rear line. Whereas Cypher obviously has maybe a little bit more flexibility, looking specifically at the attacking side. It's something that I've seen more and more teams lean into, and I do like the way that it plays. I think that could be a potential win condition for them should we see teams try to get a little bit more aggressive on their defensive sides, which isn't super common just because the way the map is divided into 4 corners and it can be really tricky to do much with that aggressive set piece. But it's obviously a nice way to start the rounds, and some teams want to get aggro just to get orb control.
Yeah, and just to give a little bit of context to you viewers at home, we are going to be restarting the lobby, a bit of an issue that's being sorted through right now. We'll get you guys into map 2 of Fracture as soon as possible. But Heather, that does give us time to go a little bit further back into the series. And I want to ask you what you think it would mean for Game Changers if Shopify were to lose this match, because it really would be historic for them to go out at this point.
Yeah, it's you know, if you're a Shopify fan, you always wanted to see this team like finally take down version 1. Grant, they did it on land grab at the World Championship.
True.
So to be honest, that's a big honor in itself. But you know, they've wanted to do it for so long in North America and grab that title. So obviously disappointing if you're a Shopify fan. I think for them, anything less than second is a disappointment. That being said, like I think it gives hope to a lot more teams. It shows that there's potential there, that teams like Complexity, teams like even FaZe and EEG, all of those teams have started to close the gap on these top teams. So I think it gives hope for the scene. It makes it more exciting. You know, we talked about all those upsets we saw in the first round. So, you know, if you're a Game Changers fan in general, I think it's nice to see. I think, you know, changing of the guard, mixing up sometimes, that's a good thing.
I think there is still a bit of a gap, but it's really from the first position and then to everyone else. Obviously, we've already seen V1 do incredibly impressive things this year, and I think they have cemented themselves as one of the stronger teams, and a win in this event, if they were to win the grand finals, which it seems like they're leaning towards right now as they did punch their ticket into that earlier today. Should they win that, they would cement themselves as the number 1. Numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up for grabs. I don't think anyone has really said this is definitely my spot. I lay claim to it. Coming into this event, that would have been Shopify. They would have been able to say, yeah, we're number 2 and we can easily fight for number 1. Even though that first Game Changer Series 1 didn't really go that well for them in the grand final, they did get kind of beat down by V1. There's still a world where they can say, yeah, but we beat these players on LAN once. So ultimately, we have kind of the head-to-head tie with a little bit of leverage, given that it was LAN. Okay. Now it's very much up in the air, and unfortunately, all of that talk was for naught, as it appears it was a false pick. Whoops.
Yeah, I believe Sonder may have just misclicked in that initial agent select, so we're restarting the lobby and getting everything in order. And as you can see, the change will be Sonder going back to that Neon that I think everyone expected. It's what Shopify has played for a long time, and she's pretty good on that role, Sapphire.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, we thought, oh, is she changing it up because she's playing, you know, giving more feedback to KP? But no, like, Sonder has been a fantastic Neon. She's one of the first players that played Neon in Game Changers starting last year and has done really well for it. So it's exciting that we're seeing, like, the comp that we expect from this roster.
I hold my ground. I still am not a huge fan of a Neon, but I want to be proven wrong. I want Sonder to show me that Neon can be incredibly viable on this map. I just need it to happen. I need this to be the time.
Well, we'll have to see if she can show that. Will it be Sondering time yet again for another lower bracket comeback, or will it be Complexity upsetting Shopify Rebellion and continuing their run, getting one step closer to the grand finals? That's what we'll find out as we hop into map number 2, Fracture, with your casters, Vansili and Rip.
That's one thing that I remembered there. As soon as Mimi said Sondering time, I was like, oh man, I do remember casting Sonder, pulling out the overdrive on Pearl and getting an ace. I was like, maybe it's doable here for a Neon on this map. And I'm going to disagree with Buck. I actually like that better than having the triple initiator, especially due to the fact that you're playing a map that has such small corridors to get into the sites, right? Moving into from tree, moving in from sands, moving in from a long. It's just small little drops. You need something to block the obstruction, block the view. Yes, sometimes the brimstones is enough, but what do you do within that site? And that's where that Neon could basically help out. But yes, maybe in terms of the fragging power, it could be not as strong, but that's why it's just basically like an assist duelist, if you want to put it that way, on a Neon usually.
I think bots just can't play Neon. But no. Just kidding. I love you, Bach. 0 point to start, and that's a great detect here. And it's going to be a little bit of a sand rush.
Yeah, even on Sands to the A main, but still Shopify Rebellion versus Strike. And it's not Sonder, but it's that Firefall superpower on the lower bracket. Able to one-up the rest of Shopify Rebellion and carry pretty much Shopify Rebellion to the deeper runs as she has done in the past on Chamber for the Game Changers in Berlin last year. That said, one player advantage spiked down. Landed in a safe spot, so all three players tucked inside the A site. Nobody playing the crossfire towards long. Look at the util available from Jazzkins. Still, paint shells, Boombot. That's going to clear some players out. There's that fault line first in a cage. Counter util coming out besides the cage. But Sabui still holding her ground here at the bottom of the staircase, now allowing the crossfire setup to happen. Perfectly done in the end for Shopify. Disciplined. Woo. And they get the round.
Locking it in. Very nicely done. They need that momentum to start this one off. Complexity is just a little too much control last map, and it's good to see Shopify confident in the site, playing safe on the post plant, even with low numbers there. Even making sure they had the crossfire. It's something they were missing a little bit of on that last game. Everyone to the other side. All right, let's see what they got.
Oh, no, I didn't want to get us copyrighted, sorry.
Ooh, that was close. That was close.
I get close. It was like almost identical in terms of the points, but here's the push in, the satchel from Jazzkins. Trying to do a surprise attack there, but that is a lot of Bulldogs just greeting them on the other side. And that's instantly a 5 versus 2.
That's a pretty memorable second round strat from Shopify Rebellion if teams are watching, for sure. Nicely called by Complexity, but no kills to come up. Shopify more than ready. Retaliation. And now I think they replaced as well. A few quick shots. Flowerful gets that double Bulldog. And the Flawless comes in. Now it's Shopify Rebellion's turn to string some Flawlesses together for us, because Complexity was all over that on Haven. And look at this. Arcade party.
A great start indeed on the Flawless. Now also, with those 2 kills that Firefall got, she's one away of getting that neural step. So it could be one of those rounds where Shopify Rebellion wants to try to activate a very slow lurk from Firefall, throw out the hat, and then do a last-minute strike, or stick together and just execute with the rifles that you have and the submachine guns that you have. It seems to be...
To do it again.
Yeah, a little bit of a mix here, Riv, as we have a 4-1 split. There we go. Hey, Wolfie. Watch me pull something out of the hat. It's 3 agents. Ah, dude, nobody knows that joke. Nobody knows that reference, rather, right? Rocky Bullwinkle.
I remember Rocky Bullwinkle, but damn, that's old.
We did go back. 5 versus 2. Bonus round looking pretty good for Shopify.
That Complexity was real loose on guarding that. Like the second peek we saw coming out on Claudius, he was just standing in the middle of the stairs there, kind of retrade a frag that had already happened.
I'm out of here.
Shopify was able to pick up a few quick kills, get out safely. Another Flawless round. A little bit more damage received than we were seeing on the first map, but still, they make it out alive. They make it out with weapons. And this should be another good round here. Bonus one by Shopify Rebellion on Fracture. It looks like they're going to make Complexity have the comeback style game this time if they can keep this up. It's been a 4-1, like you said, and we saw all 5 top. Now we get kind of our first eco strat, or anti-eco, I should say. See if they can avoid getting taken out by Complexity here. A Vandal for Jazzykins and actually a Phantom in. So they're going to try to purchase up 2,900 on that 4th loss if they do, so they'll have enough money to buy with the money they're putting in right now on Complexity.
Yeah, definitely a pivotal point so far for Complexity. Stinger around the rifles that you saved. Frenzy and a Sheriff, and focusing still on in default positions pretty much here. Less pressure towards the long range, trying to get a little bit more traps through the door. But meanwhile here for Shopify, maybe even trying to cycle another orb in the hands of KP so that she could actually get the Rolling Thunder here for a B-side hit.
Yeah, That's exactly what I was looking for. It looks like it might just be the plant for Rolling Thunder retaliation. Do they cook Heaven? Looks like it could be a recon bolt if they want to go up there, but Sonder has to be ready.
Now is the other thing too. How do you move up quickly behind the engagement of the initiation if you don't have that duelist, right?
Watch out!
That's the idea around that. Moving into sight now, fully stunned. Claudia couldn't do anything at all. Lay's trying to fight with that stinger, runs out of bullets. Right click classic, but support is there. Almost getting that kill onto KP, 2 HP.
Cage trigger.
In the end, you see the rifle and that sheriff. Trying to get value at least if we can get some kills through the cyber cages, or a sheriff kill may be a sense to make it doable because Firefall and KP are 1 shot away.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, too many crossfires, Vans. Too many.
Yep. Nothing you can do there.
The uppercut.
We're seeing something very similar. Exactly, the uppercut and uppercut into the economy too right now for Complexity. I mean, it still looked pretty good here in terms of what we had left before we got into the replay. There's still only 1 player left to buy at 3,600. Meanwhile, Assault Rifles on the rest. So they still managed their economy quite well. But that said, this is a similar storyline as Complexity, as we were mentioning. Oh man, this is quite surprising to see Complexity at like 8-1 or 7-0.
Yeah.
But for Shopify Rebellion at 4-0, just another walk in the park. You know, just another Tuesday.
It does seem like Shopify attacks so much stronger, so much more confidence here in the way their comms flow and the way they can call audibles on these. When they're on the defensive side, it's a lot more guessing. Whoa, watch your butt. Close fragment grenade coming back to Lori there, but they get in, the site is covered, and they're gonna lock this one in for a post plant.
Cage for long, but I like this. We're fighting back for Complexity. Even Lace moving forward with it too, and I like this because this doesn't allow for you to really play those Molly pulse plants with Sabui.
Right.
So she uses it early to just deny the push coming out from Complexity, and now here's the full engage. Knife out close, aftershock, maybe even a fault line if they have it available for Kara, sorry, as Kara gets the kill onto Firefall with the aftershock. Fault line coming on the attack though, as Saunders trying to fight back for control towards Spawn and wins it against Claudia. There's that Rolling Thunder coming out though to deny that clock, to deny the defuse coming out for Complexity's attempt to retake the A site, and you definitely know that it's too little too late. And now for Complexity trying to keep their opponents right inside the A site. That's 1 player dying. They've done a bit of their job here for Complexity, lost a round, but they're chipping away slowly at the economy.
I think it's a great point you brought up about the Neon earlier and being able to create walls and make situations, because that's what Sonder just did to get a 3K right here. The site was open and then dancing in and out of the walls just to make it so much harder for Complexity. Waiting on the timeout still, might just get to that 6th round. We got lightning fingers ready for Sonder. See if they get popped this round.
Alarm bot out.
Setup looks like it'd be a little bit of a sand push here from Complexity if they initiate on it. But no, they're going to play passive. Giving Shopify a lot of room to work with here. And like, there's the Cypher play again. We talked about it a little earlier as the whole team encroaches stairs. Is you can watch the top side of the map. So all of this is confident pushing.
Bit of utility though, trying to hold it back to slide through the Nanoswarm, but not to do much damage as you don't really have the alarm bot to do that double damage. So there will be an open site for Shopify Rebellion to take. Fault line, knife in, Sabui getting the kill through onto Claudio, who's trying to swing out through the smoke.
Cage trigger.
And everybody's just really trying to go for smoke kills, and what's really missing is that signature Sova coming out from EG that can maybe help for those smoke kills that they're really good at on this map.
Oh dear.
Yep. The drive-by. Oh, what? 4 players instantly die, make not even 5! How does that happen, Riv? I only saw 4 players running towards Heaven against 1 player, and then suddenly everybody drops all around the site on B.
The dust settles. Once those smokes clear, all the angles Complexity was looking at were prime to be able to drop Shopify, trade or not. We didn't really see too many trades. The first one got hit, and then it was just 4 blue coming from Complexity. 4 ultimates as well, ready right now. So they stopped that bleeding really fast at 6 rounds. A nice retake.
Placing
Now
swamp grenade.
Shopify to reconsider their setup on that defensive positioning. Very nicely done. Complexity has a lot of ultimates here too, so they can play their life for a lot of this strategy. They have the same defensive setup this round as last round, exact same.
My ult's ready.
Slower by Shopify. This was already Sonder putting a wall up and trying to get the Killjoy utility out.
Even a knife came out towards the canteen, just trying to lock some players down. And as you have the overdrive, unfortunately, Sonder gets denied right away that opportunity of getting an opener. But all this is for a fake towards the A site. Null command comes out from Lace, actually from Lori, to not allow anybody to use utility to prevent the attackers from pushing through. So you got to play your angles. Or in Jazzikins with the crossfire setup. Spike is down for the second time as Sibui gets dropped. And the anchor is strong for Complexity in the end towards this A site.
Great read. Knowing that Sonder, there was too much variable between what they saw last round, where Shopify took the site and planted, to just Sonder going in with the ultimate, right? There wasn't the utility follow-up. There wasn't the breach follow-up. Yeah, Complexity wasn't buying it. Like you said, great anchor towards A. Good read of the map on that one. A triple for Jazzy. That ultimate should be coming up quite soon. Actually, already up, as we said before. And Lace having just used Null Command, so they're ready to cycle a lot of these big abilities as we get a north side hit from Shopify Rebellion.
All right, having positioned a dangerous place right now for Lace. Orbital strike available for Sibui. As this gun round for Shopify Rebellion is moving towards that pressure on ropes, and unfortunately it's looking for a contact play. Instantly pulls out an orbital strike on the defensive side for Raze to not allow anybody else from Shopify Rebellion from moving out the trade. Yeah.
Everyone hiding.
see the hat. Oh no.
She sees it now. It's thrown at her face.
Sees it now. And Cypher ult is so good the earlier you can use it. They know where everyone is. This is going to be the move here from Shopify. Big ulti.
Yeah, there you go. Fine, clear out the heavens. So now Lace out in the open, and both of the players, even out on the island, punished towards this B site. Rolling Thunder is actually being used.
Whoa.
And Cebu is playing off the smoke the whole time. We're fighting back. A 2 versus 1. Kara low on HP. And low on HP all the way down to 0. She peeks back out to try to fight towards the B site. Shopify Rebellion continues to prove a very strong attacker side half.
These trades, they go so quick at first, and then everybody seems to be able to understand the situation, temper how fast the play is being made, and then get those final few kills there. Shopify is on top of it right now. Flowerful with that Cypher play, usually being the last one alive to get a lot of these kills too, locking it in. Complexity calls a timeout now, even with a few rounds getting thrown in here. Looks like they want to sort some things out. Also with the ults they have ready, probably make sure they can stop Shopify from getting in the right way.
Yeah. And as we have this timeout, this is where maybe I would understand why, if it stayed as a triple initiator, it could still be kind of nice. Yes, you don't have those lanes that Sonar is able to put up, but you have so many flashes.
Ready for it.
And that's what Shopify Rebellion's been pretty good for taking these sites. The flashes that are being thrown by Lori and the flashes by KP have been perfect right now to really disrupt any type of anchor holds towards this B site. And if they didn't have maybe a duelist to create that space, they have extra flashes coming out of the sky.
Right.
So something that Complexity at least has to identify, like, okay, yes, we have less flashes to deal with now, but we're still getting owned by the executions that Shopify Rebellion's currently executing here towards this B site.
I think timing as one of the big things to do with it, you know, pointing out how Sonder's playing, how they play around it, the flashes they're using, but also you don't play against the stimmied Neon very often. A lot of times timing can really screw up what you want to do. That last fraction of a second you thought you had to aim, now Sonder's in your face, and she's just so supported right now by the rest of the squad Shopify Rebellion brings. You have to expect Sonder coming in at 1,000,000 miles an hour almost every time. Looks like it's going to happen to A as they all waterfall off the top here. Complexity has the Killjoy in the right spot.
Yeah. And running 1,000,000 miles an hour definitely towards the A site, but it's okay.
Fine.
They'll let them cross the finish line. They'll just try to fight back Complexity with the lockdown and showstopper on a retake. So a great position right now is Flowerful, who was on the top of the drop, but now in a vulnerable position, moving in towards A. 5 versus 5 retake.
Don't want to be in sight against Shopify. I don't blame them right now either. So yeah, that retake's going to be big. Lockdown will start it. Who hides in the back of sight?
Okay, so the Rolling Thunder is avoided. There's a showstopper to trade right back, but this is good. Saunders selfless running in there just to make sure that you could actually cancel out that ult so they can anchor back towards the site. As they roll back forward, the spike now comes through. Paint shells coming down. There's that molly coming out though.
Out of charges.
And the spike defuser has been killed. There's no time.
Remaining.
7-2 will be the scoreline now for Shopify Rebellion. As you had a nice little kill on that diffuser as everybody ran back in main.
And that works so well in Shopify's favor. A lot of them have bang 4,900 on some. They can easily get some buys around to each other here. A few of the complexity members were on 500, so even at max bonus, they're on 34. And you can see it is a lower buy here. Shopify squeaking these out, playing it well. And Saunders, every time they find the killjoy utility, Saunders goes through like she's just flotting swies. You're like, oh, there's a molly, but I just ran over it. Oh yeah, we got the turret. Swatting flies, getting tongue twisted. Here we go. Into C, into B. The turret's up top. I wonder if that's gonna mess her up this time. It's been on the ground and she's been able to get right by it.
Yeah, it might be one of those break the crosshair placement, try to swing out for the kill, but you now see Claudia backing up, so that plan, that opportunity, but a trap still. You see the fault line getting ready for a quad swing to come out off the turret, but instead, Shopify Rebellion decide to fall back right into where it's weaker, at the A site where Jazzikins is currently waiting with potential pain shells for the site.
Ooh. Straight through. There's the stimming. Gotta go fast.
Yeah, a little bit too easy.
Sand rush is so impossible to stop. You really can't be out in the open.
Yeah.
Especially when you're low buy.
Definitely with that. And that's what the flashes so you can come out at least. There's a missed time on how you want to move forward for these fights, and instead it's just better utility from KP coming out one.
That's done.
Her opponent's trying to run out towards Sands. 2 kills coming in for the Thrifty. But now we really have a very similar storyline to what we had from Haven. Shopify Rebellion, dominant under attacker half.
Yeah.
Just like Complexity were on Haven.
And it's wild to see, right? That both teams could just ebb and flow their strength against each other like this. But does it change again, right? Does Complexity have the same attack role? I don't know. I think Shopify might be online now, and this is what everybody builds them up and talks about when they are playing. Can't count either team out. We just saw a hell of a Haven map. Forward goes Jazzy, insta bounce up top. And they're going to know this is north side right away, especially with that 0 point.
Finally, a change of pace that works out quite well for Complexity to get information, but that gets information only for Lure to get a free orb still towards the arcade. So now you have Null Command available. Players walking back towards tree, and Jazzican still committed.
There.
Solo, double swing out. Beautifully done by Shopify. As that 3-2-1, one underwater swing. Off angle by Lace, trying to do the hero play. Retreating back behind the smoke. Now spotting the split coming out from Shopify towards his B site. Ray's getting that one. And Lace is still in the smoke! The spike now falls. Sibui's on a 2 versus 1. Orbital strike available.
One enemy remaining.
And with that,
Player
a
standing.
mini cyber cam inside the smoke allowed for Sibui to get the kill, but not until Claudia came back for the trade.
Last round in the half.
Oh my gosh, so quick back and forth at the end there. I actually thought they were going to get the curve around the corner, that little strafe jump to safety, and then be able to play the KO. Not res, but just the KO as almost protection.
One enemy remaining.
What a flash dodge there, and the quick cleanup. Very, very necessary. Coming in from Complexity to pick up these last few rounds here, as Complexity tightens their hold on the lead. Orbital strike, an ultimate from Sonder. Get into the site and post plant is incredibly strong. It's just nobody can group because they're also against that Raze ultimate on the Brimstone. That sounded weird, but Raze on Brimstone, rather.
I was like, wait, really?
Wait, huh?
Jasket's alt orbs.
This is crazy.
But yeah, definitely Brimstone ult available, and even the null command was really positioned in a sense where it was going to directly counter an overdrive moving towards the A site. But Shopify Rebellion continued to pivot where they're not really playing too much on information and just trying to pivot back and forth on, hey, let's try to see what utility is being used. Can we hear a turret somewhere really close? The turret's being placed on top of Jen towards the B side. Here's the overdrive now towards the B site. Still 2 players playing far back though. It's at 3. Shopify will still plant on this B site and it's safe.
Where the alties, I would be in heaven. Or in the tower, that's for sure.
Already being used.
They
here.
cook
It's outside
close?
the arcade.
They cook sight.
Yeah, or sight. Thought it was arcade. But KB's now still stuck in there, crossfired, as Lori's fully hit by a flash, looking to fall back. Ray's trying to move an inch forward, hit by a flash, as Jazzkins is the one that's swinging through for the kill onto Lori. Counter ult coming through here from Sabui. No kills across as KP, after the action, has calmed down for a bit. You're playing pulse plant utility is just too good. This round's gonna come in for Shopify Rebellion, solidifying the 9th round on the first half of Fracture.
Switching sides.
I'm very sad I didn't see it. But Zabui has a bounce molly for that?
I mean,
Look how far back.
After this cast, you're probably going back in the lab and trying to figure out your Brittany volleys, right?
Oh, I have one. It's a very Plinko style, but I love the fact that not many brims will go down the stairs once the spike is planted back there. It's a different kind of plant.
So we got a
awesome
Rockin'
to see the
Bullwinkle.
complexity is ready for there.
We got a Rockin' Bullwinkle and a Plinko reference. Strong Legs
We're in
definitely
there.
knows what we're talking about, but I don't know about the rest of the Game Changers watchers right now. Shout out to you, Roy.
All right, 3-2 split, 3 north, 3 south side. They put 4 on A halls. I'm wondering if Sonder pushes here, but it looks like they're just going to gain position for audio play and then cut. Both teams pushing up on the extremities now, or either side of the map, I should say.
It's heavy from Shopify towards this A site. Now shifting over to a heavy flank. 2 players moving forward. Might be out of the range here of this alarm bot. He even tried to go for trap kills. The good old tried and true of these Cypher traps trying to get kills through smokes. As now, though, for the attackers, they're pushing towards the spawn. It works out. Firefall going head-to-head against Jazz, against Pain Shells flushing her out. But the fault line was just too good here. Not allowing Jazz to get into good spots. And in the end, it becomes a 1v1 won by Complexity.
The way that started, I think Shopify has another pistol to themselves, but no. Complexity hiding just off in the woodwork, making sure the last few trades only happen once Shopify has to encroach a little bit closer. I think it was really nicely identified there as well. Lace almost gets caught in the back by everybody rotating around. The timing Complexity had to continuously move forward and move their back line into sight. Just left Shopify continuously searching for the frags until they got into that spike site. Complexity now with a purchase. Race is going to stay down on a ghost for this round. Just to keep a little bit of economy for the squad. Another push. Shopify just replicating round 1. Or repeating, rather.
This time coming up against a lot of... like a bigger investment, actually, that you have for Complexity. Lace has been doing a lot of these second round rifle buys. And being the first point of contact, the first point of entry. As the knife counters back and spots a couple of the players, and Shopify Rebellion is looking to regain that spot that they lost towards the A main. But that's sealing the deal here for Complexity to pivot towards B.
Yeah, stim packs down. They're cruising right now. Great molly to stop this.
A little gap on it,
And a molly back. Yeah, tiny bit of little pinch. You can jump over and get your toes burned, but not too much.
Floor is lava and then make it through. Nice little molly too from Raze. Fragment kills too. Utility's too good. As all of Shopify Rebellion is trying to run through and get a timing off utility through smokes. Although they have done a lot of damage. 3 players fallen by Complexity, 4 Complexity. At least Jazikin is going to stop that bleeding, stop the hemorrhaging. Put a bandage on that, and Complexity moves up with the second round here on the board and salvaging that Phantom as well.
Flowerful. Because so many of these early uplinks. Well, that's not. It's a very soon. TM. It's creepy. It's scaring me, Ops. 9-5 now. And Complexity looks like they're gaining ground once again. If they can stave this off with some kind of round where they can lure Shopify into their angles, into Complexity's angles on these stingers here, this is going to be a few rounds that Complexity runs away with. Shopify did look good on the first half. Let's see if they can pick it back up on this bonus.
Yeah. Been a very strong knife here that clears out all of the B side, pinging 2 players, using even 1 ping shells, and to pivot back from Complexity. And I've been really enjoying watching Complexity on their attack so far, especially on their Lotus play that we were able to witness a couple of days ago here, Riv. And really working that map, keeping the players anchored towards the B side, weakening down for the defenders towards A. Now the execution comes in for Complexity, and Sabui gets killed through smoke. Sonder off angle, aim labs now, nice little assist coming in from the fault line, double kill now for Sonder. The pivot was nice when moving towards the lesser numbers.
Yeah.
To get the real value.
Here in that Phantom, it's a hold. There it is for Sonder to come up, and so nicely done. No rotations out of Shopify. They don't need to go anywhere, right? Complexity is coming to them, and it's probably going to happen pretty quick. Stingers on hand. So yeah, Sonder playing a faraway angle, Sabui playing the faraway spawn angle. Everywhere they can crossfire each other to quickly take out a rushing Complexity. So, Shopify now at 10. They do get the bonus. They're going to have a few ultimates to work with here. There hasn't been too much of a switch up from Complexity. They're hitting what they're going towards. Very different from their Haven strategy where they were kind of toying with Shopify. A few rotations just have not gotten Shopify out of their position. So what's next, right?
Yeah.
What is next? Slow work towards A is going to be the ticket for now, and we'll see what Claudia can produce on a flank if she doesn't meet up with KP and Sonder too soon.
There's a double push after the orb. Okay, they're pulling back, so this is an opportunity for a backstab for Claudia. Exactly. Well, should I say fast lanes, allowing Sonder to move back down, but being damaged through smoke back down to 50 HP. There's that backstab being watched by KP, so the 6th sense that she has. 1v1 against Claudia, fully flashed, nicely done. And now there's the overdrive comes out towards the A main. Support from Sabui from behind too, as they're dropping like flies. Only KP, the last line of defense towards the A side on the post plan. Firefall on the flank for 2 kills. Somehow Carl's alone. Hat comes out, Firefall comes in for the trip kill for the backstab as well. Okay,
Flowerful's on something this game.
I agree. You didn't need the last line of defense inside the site. You needed just Flowerful on the flank.
We're like ultimate on second round, ultimate again, and then ultimate again. Oh my gosh. So many frags in just these 4 rounds as Flowerful starts to pop off. Great watch on the flank by KP as well to thwart Claudia coming up there. And then Flowerful with a quick triple as KP causes the distraction. Shopify now feeling the groove. Mance, I know it's a crying thumbs up right now. It's a back and forth, Mance. That's the cat's name, Mance, if you didn't know. Here we go. 0 points going to detect no one on the start of this. It's very, very fast here to possibly close out this round, or at least let Jazzy get a first sight on what they might be fighting against. That's just no crap. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, the up grab is going to be continuously important now for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah.
Not seeing too much pressure coming out from Complexity, so that's 2 rounds in a row here where KP's finding a lot of value of lesser aggression, farming free orbs, and now they have an important ult for a retake. So these 2 players playing towards the B site where Complexity are slowly moving in here with their Thrifty. They're also doing the same thing. Cycle out these ults. So playing for the overtime on top of that, Riv. You don't want to go for any type of half fight here to try to bring it back to in your favor. You want to try to force the OT. You still have at least some sort of confidence on your attack side once you have the weapons right.
Smart move. 30 seconds left.
Oh,
One enemy remaining.
I mean, just running into the death, right? not really too much utility you want to use. You want to try to save as much as you can for the next gun round. So trade protocols, fundamentals. The smoke's really disruptive that time around. So in the end, Shopify Rebellion. Map point, looking to push this to a third.
Yeah, and that Neon's looking pretty good right now. The whole team looks nice. The way they play around this, the strength that they have, crushing pretty hard. And Complexity cannot find an answer. There was a defuse on round 16, but it is not getting to post plant very often for them to start this one off after those first two. Out to Arcade.
And that makes Quadrate fall back all the way towards the bottom of the site. Showstopper out. Open sight now for Complexity to take. And look at that, even a double rope towards the back. Alarm bot, still in range though. So Claudia is going to watch it. Doesn't know how many players yet though, but it's going to be an assist. Double stuns coming through from both the Neon and the Breach. KP and Sonder moving forward. Counter flashes out. Fast lane, mollies, everybody's being slowed. 5 versus 5 free, take advantage for Complexity. Rolling Thunder coming out too. That's a lot of ults being used here on the post plant. Spams through the doors. Advantage still for Complexity until now. Fighting back towards the site. Lace is doing whatever he can towards the top. Underhand flash and swing out. Cannot connect the shot. Finally, a drive-by. As it was just one lone bullet that just caught curved in the face of Fireful in the wall bang for the last kill. Little room to breathe here is Complexity. Put around in.
Blaze. Basically the 1v3 there in sight. Obviously the last one, not any pressure, but this was imperative that Complexity held long because they planted for Halls.
Yeah.
Otherwise they lose everything. It's a quick shot down into sight. Lace gets overwhelmed. So Complexity's giving their all to not allow that Halls up. Nicely done to shut down Shopify. Still have a lot of work to go. 6 rounds just to bring us to OT here. And that means 6 chances for Shopify Rebellion.
Go, go, go!
That's right. We're going to keep the chances as our definitions now with all the watch parties we've been watching lately. That said, though, we have a lockdown available for Claudia, but you kind of wish that Complexity was able to amass a couple of kills and not allow Sabui to get her orbital strike to counter that directly. So playing a little bit more slowly for Complexity, trying to work the map. Lace playing solo, trying to catch a timing right around the corner against Sonder. Keeping players close.
Lace's performance.
Wow. Yeah, but they're pulling back right away here with the stimmy. This is being heard by Flowerful. But you keep these question marks up. You don't know if it's a fake. You don't know if it's going to be a pivot or a double pump. So they're really weakening down the defense. Nice little knife, too, to disrupt those two players anchoring towards stands.
Run.
This is a Brim Molly setup. If Sabui goes to spawn, sorry, if Raze goes to spawn, it looks like they're just gonna hold it here.
Knife hits them. Now nullified, but at least gets their one. Jazzikins lost the battle to Fireful, but Lace is right there inside the site to create it right back. Double ultimates available, but not being used yet. You see the iPad coming out. There's that first kill, and now you're gonna save that ult for sure. Sabui getting the shot back rather onto Lace. I'm just trying to keep exactly. Trying to keep it expensive. Harhard dying here. It's a lower buy the next round with only 3,700 credits and uses a flash to get away. Spike will go up, out. And Complexity's up at 7 points now. Okay,
Sabui still has ultimate. They need to use that and a few more. And KP's retake here. Lace's opening frag just so big, especially to be able to get down Sonder, right? Then you're not really worried about disruption coming back into the site. You're worried about agents you're gonna face in front of you, not sliding around, creating walls, and making mayhem. So Lace to be able to take out Sonder last one really deflated Shopify Rebellion for round 19. Now on to round 20. Still a lot of work to do. Quick dropout, Sonder. Looks like might be a little bit of a mission impossible if they keep pushing into Arcade. They figure it's going to be a top side of the map hit almost everywhere.
Not until that happens.
That'll feel good. That's 3 hit. Still, 0 points can be used falsely. And they're going to keep their positioning. This is one of the things that was a big benefit for Shopify before. There's action, a few utility bits going off around the map, and I don't think they've moved an inch yet. Just anchoring so well.
Even better for Shopify Rebellion, because now you're crossing that minute mark. And the longer you wait here, the more ultimates you have that's at your disadvantage against you. Rolling Thunder, Orbital Strike in the range of both sides here, as you can see KP pivoting back and forth. Claudia, though, getting a nice little opener, grabbing an orb, and didn't know that Sonar was just behind. There's the iPad to tap on the spike. Orbital Strike now comes down. 40 seconds left in the clock with that happening. Nice little kill by Jazzigan. Splash coming out too, allowing Jazzigan to pick up the second kill. And in a turn of events, it's
30
2
seconds
versus 4. Disadvantage for Shopify Rebellion. Aftershock now coming out, flushing 2 players out. A flank still coming through by Sonder. Rolling Thunder still available, and KP's going to use it. That's going to hit all 4 to delay you a little bit more. And here comes a really bold, the overdrive, but Lace stops it right in her tracks. Right playing towards the drop, drops the 2 players, and Complexity still stay alive.
Lace! Oh my gosh. All of that setup, all of that patience, ready for the initiation, and one Vandal shot. Absolutely incredible poise right now from Lace in the position, in the consideration for each instance that Shopify is bringing to the table. All right, 24 and 15 for her, by the way. Crazy stuff on the KO. Complexity all towards B. This is one of the first times in the last handful of rounds that I can count they have not had a separate person on the side of the map, so they're ready to go. They can activate in this position.
Engaging with the null command. Flat safe, out for long. And a lower buy that you currently have for Shopify Rebellion. Hero Rifle out for Sabui. Nothing you can really do off the null command in the smoke, so now it's the counter smokes coming through, and that's how you're going to try to flood that.
Molly!
Lineups available. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
But it's late. It's so late. And finally to do it, spraying through the smoke. That was so close. 1 player remaining. Laura's out there, and they have the orbital strike. Not needed in the end.
Oh, the tech. Oh, yes. Okay, there's mollies and then there's mollies. That was a molly right there. That was a good molly, okay? That was a sandwich molly, which means the later it's shot is fine because as soon as it hits, it's going to pop. It doesn't get this long bounce. It doesn't take too much time. Boom. And it completely surprises your opponent, as you can see, cooking everybody right under the spike as they try to play Get Down, Mr. President, protection shield style, and they all go down. Crazy stuff getting set up here. Complexity, even on a run, are going to say, all right, we have the momentum. Let's figure out how to continuously keep it. Let's show them different stuff still, because right now, Shopify is going to get more and more held up in the sights, and I feel like they're going to be harder to break out of their defensive spots. Complexity, again, 3 rounds away here, bringing it close to a tie.
I don't want to keep my hopes up, Riv. Seen this before.
Just 30 minutes ago.
Nonetheless, it's showing us a great treat here that both of these teams are currently having on their attacker halves, and it really sets the tone if we actually do go to a third map on Pearl. Kind of wish we saw some split, though, because Complexity was playing a triple Sentinel on that map, and I was like, dude, that's quite interesting, and I want to see that in person. And that was also a map that they won against Shopify Rebellion when they were facing off against each other in the upper quarterfinals of the Game Changer Series 3. Now, refacing once again. Complexity looking to eliminate Shopify Rebellion as they have 1 map under their belt. And even 1 kill on the advantage. Satchel inside the site, spotting now Sonner on the top. And Sonner was taking too much time to react, and Raze gets the kill. Instantly, we have a spike plant inside the A side for Complexity.
Ultimates ready as well. Jazzy can just deflect. Yeah, they don't even want to try. They know they're going to get a rocket and an orbital strike. 2 chances left, Bansili.
Yeah.
This has been incredible from Complexity. And both teams as well losing their footing in the lead, showing a little bit of weakness there as the game can be closed out on one round.
This is definitely, I would consider a Rob Wizzy timeout after this loss here for Shopify Rebellion, because now you have an opportunity to see 3 weapons, do some sort of trap play. If you lose a round, you still have a half buy that's available, or you save for the last round to finish 13-11. So a huge pivotal round for Shopify Rebellion coming up here in round number 23.
One round keeps our series going for Shopify Rebellion. 4 for Complexity and Shopify Rebellion's run. That's wild to say. You called the timeout. You're going to get a moment here to digress, but build back up because they need everything at this point. Shopify had so much control over the game to be allowing, and not just allowing Complexity, they're obviously strategizing so well, but allowing Complexity all this space to allow Jazzykins in to make these so explosive, right? I'm not sure. Maybe it has to be a full retake at this point with the way that Complexity is hitting the sites for Shopify.
So we could see here there's a null command available. Really could cancel out here what you could have for post-plant utility. Post-plant ults as well for Complexity, who's been doing very good in these plant situations, right? I think all these 5 rounds that they've won and that they've picked up so far have all been off post-plants.
That goes there.
They've been finding some good opportunities here to really explode in the sights for Complexity. Shopify, it's not really on how you want to play the retake this time around, it's how you hold the burst anchors. Playing a retake so far has been very difficult here. You need some heroic plays that came out from Flowerful, for example, a couple of rounds back.
Right.
Flat since then, right? Which is why you see Complexity string these 5 rounds in a row, and they're going straight into a B hit. With both
ultimates. Oh, Flowerful.
It lands, but we answer right back here. In the smoke, trap kills coming through. Really bold, actually stunning her own teammates. So Flowerful gets picked off. And Sonder, KP, last 2 players remaining.
Spike planted.
Spike planted in a safe spot. So all 3 players of Complexity playing inside the site. KP still has full utility, though, that can help Sonder move inside the B site.
They split just to get distraction, just to cause their own third-party fight here. Sonder's going to be activated.
The lineup on 2, the last one! Turns away, was trying to find the cover behind the boxes, behind the Radionite boxes. But then, we're 1 round away of bringing this into overtime. So Complexity, as we mentioned before, staying calm, cool like a cucumber. When they had the lead on Haven to close out the map, and when they're trailing behind by so much on Fracture, are still able to close it back to potentially here on a lower buy that you have for Shopify Rebellion.
And Complexity are vicious right now. They know they can win this game, and they are playing like they can win this game, and it looks really scary. The ultimates are gone for them, though. So this is going to be, again, based off teamwork and strategy. They've been able to bounce onto the site with a little bit of help from those ults, from pressure. I don't know if it's going to be the same as Shopify. They backs against the wall already. They do not want to lose this game either. But I think they're playing to not lose, which is affecting them.
It's a one and done right here on the positioning you have from Sonder. Aftershock and Judge. Try and staying just outside of it. Lace is trying to see if there's going to be any type of over-peeking coming out from Sonder, who's about to peek around this corner. Playing the longer angle. There's that kill from Lace. Continuing the reign that she has for that trade 2 with 12 HP remaining. So this is an opportunity for Sabui. Going long range with the Guardian. But it's traded right off. A 2 versus 2, and Raze is low on HP. And there's a null command and a hat available. Give the plant here to Claudia, and you have a lockdown. But it's not going to be used. The plant goes down instead. And both players now spotted, at least one of them by the alarm bot. That's going to be the information that Claudia knows. Hat now being thrown, Clariful, and both Lure knows where the last 2 players are at. Ray's trying to play the angle behind the wall here, the first contact. There's the first one! And the second one comes across. Laurie gets the kill. And Shopify Rebellion still end up to get the defuse. And we will definitely see this third map tiebreaker on Pearl.
Defenders win.
We are going to Pearl. Shopify Rebellion at the final hour. Shut down complexity. These kills by Sibui, so big in sight, and then Lori able to do it on the Killjoy. That, I think everybody just took a gasp finally, holding their breath for 6 or 7 rounds on Shopify Rebellion's fan squad, team, everything, organization. But we're alive. The series is alive. Shopify is alive, and complexity are looking fierce. This is going to be a hell of a final map in this best of 3.
I definitely held my breath. I mean, it was a 1 versus 1, and who was left there on that 2 versus 1? It was Claudia, a player who's been so good in these clutch situations. If you look at the stats, maybe they don't see and prove those many numbers, but there's been so many good impact rounds that she's done for complexity that allowed for them to get these momentums in. And if that was going to overtime, it was a different story. But now we get to reset. Now we get a chance to listen to Bach and the rest of the desk after the break talk about a fake comeback once again.
Uno mas.